Good morning, amazing human beings. We apologize for the slight delay. You know, when we have celebrities on, it takes a minute to get everything organized and together, but here we are making it happen. Super grateful to have you guys here. For all of you amazing mothers that experienced something this past weekend, a huge shout out to you. Thank you for all of your amazing work, for just being the most valuable people in society, to be able to be a mother, to just do all that you do in life. Super grateful for you. With that being said, I want to thank you for joining our live today. It is Terrific Tuesday. Got to throw it out there. We're going to make magic happen today. We're going to talk about some amazing things. We have an amazing guest, which is Reginald Washington from Project Aware. So we're super excited to get that conversation going. Before we get the conversation going, I want to throw a quote out there because I feel like it's just empowering. And I know, Reggie, you are a fan of comic books. So I found a quote from a guy named Mike Norton, who's a comic book writer. And the quote is, "Never say that you can't do something, or that something seems impossible, or that something can't be done. No matter how discouraging or horrible it may be, human beings are limited only by what we allow ourselves to be limited by, our own minds. We are each the masters of our own reality. When we become self-aware to this, absolutely anything in the world is possible. Master yourself and become king or queen of the world around you. Let no odds, chastisement, exile, doubt, fear, or any mental virus prevent you from accomplishing your dreams. Never be a victim of life, be a conqueror." And again, that was from Mike Norton. And I say that to say, man, if you talk about rising, going above and beyond and mastering self and being the king or queen of the world around you, definitely that has been Reginald Washington's journey. His resilience has been phenomenal, and so we're super excited to be able to get in that story. So again, my name is Nikki Martinez. I'm here with Youth Empowerment. My pronouns are she, her, we. Thank you for taking this time and joining us today, and I will pass it on to my boss, Mr. Arthur Soriano.
From the pen to the win. I always surround myself with superheroes in my past life, in my present life. And my first superhero out here in the community was Mr. Reginald Washington. Connecting with him, building a relationship with him mentoring me, guiding me, him having an office space at Starbucks right there on Euclid, me at Toronto Park. He was way further along than I was. I was just starting my process. But I remember connecting with Reggie, building a relationship with him. Here's the curriculum. Here's how I'm doing it. Always sharing all the tools that he had. So Reggie, you're my Black superhero, brother. And you know I love you. You know I love you. And we've been in this journey together. And it's been amazing to be a part of this process with you, man. So I always love these webinars because I always take something back that I don't know about you. You know, we've built a lot of relationships, know about each other, but I always take something back that I do not specifically know about you. So I'm very interested to hear this conversation. And thank you for being on board. And Reggie, just give us some background, brother, on your history and your past, your lifestyle. How was that like?
And first of all, man, thank you, man, for allowing me to come here, man, and share a part of myself with the community. You know, me and you, Arturo, man, I know we're going to be connected from here on out. We really are sort of like showing individuals, you know, Latinx and African Americans that we can work together. So that's something that I really put out there, and I make sure that individuals know how close we are and how much I have so much respect and love for you before I go anywhere else with this. My background, man, is I grew up in Southeast San Diego. You know, I went to Moores. I got kicked out of Moores. I went to Mission Bay. I got kicked out of Mission Bay, and I ended up at Garfield. You know, the funny thing about that, as much as I I had a lot of extracurricular activity. Man, I actually enjoyed school. I graduated from high school. I remember walking and having my mother with me and one other person, Randy, rest in peace, he just left us this year. When I think about my life, I think about how I got involved in gangs, you know, how I got involved in substance abuse. Because I remember there was a time when I wasn't involved in gangs. I remember there was a time where I didn't abuse drugs or anything like that. So I look at them as two different aspects of my life. I also realized today that I had a sick need to be accepted. And I say it's sick because I was willing to do things just to be accepted by my friends. And in all reality, they could have accepted me for who I was on the strength of who I was. Hmm. But instead, I found myself seeking acceptance through violence, through drugs, and through mayhem, so to speak. So when I talk to you today, I talk to you from an individual who now realizes the trauma that came along with me. For those who don't know, I just recently lost my father, and he was the one who taught me the things that I know today as I stand here with integrity and with moral. Man, I'm not nowhere near fixed. So when I have this story that I tell you, the end of the story isn't, and now everything's great. No, the end of the story is I'm still trying to get it right. But today I realize violence isn't going to solve the problem. Today I realize getting high isn't going to solve the problem. You know, so even though I have the issues that I have, man, I'm so happy that violence and drugs isn't part of it. So when I talk today, I talk from an individual who's still taking things day by day. I talk as an individual who's clean today, man, and I don't worry about tomorrow, I worry about today. So please understand that. My life has been riddled with hurt and pain, but today I'm still happy. Man, my life has been riddled with suffering and desperation, but today, man, I still have hope. And a lot of that comes from, you know, relationships that I built today, healthy relationships. You know, when I think of my friends, you know, some people call them homies, some people call them, you know, whatever the case may be. But today I like to call them my friends because I still have a friendship with them. But my days of being a homeboy, my days of being, you know, an active gang member, that died when I caught a life sentence. Unfortunately, in 1990, because I didn't have the emotional literacy skills, when I got angry, I got violent. And I picked up a gun in 1990 and I shot some individuals. Because of that, I received a life sentence. But the story before the life sentence was the trauma that happened to me as a kid. The story before the life sentence was I had got molested as a kid and I didn't know who to tell. I was very angry at my mother and my father because it was like, how can they not know something happened to me? But they couldn't read my mind. So I was angry from way back then. And as an individual who didn't know how to deal with anger, I did all these other things that sort of set me up for failure. The end result was the life sentence. But the pain and the suffering happened as a kid. And throughout that time, I did these things to try to deal with it. Man, I wish I could tell you, man, you know, that, hey, man, you know what, I dealt with it the right way. No, I didn't actually. Man, when I sit here today and look at the things that happened to me in the past, I know that God has blessed me with this opportunity. Because I see the same individuals just like me, but there's things that has stood with them. They weren't able to let go of it. So when I see my friends and they're homeless, when I see obituaries, man, I always think, man, that could have been me. Man, I wish I could tell you, man, that, you know what, man, everything worked out perfectly. I'm still dealing with the pain. but I want to be able to be an example of how you deal with the pain and you don't go out backwards. I want to be an example of understanding that, you know, we don't let the pain stagnate us. So, I mean, man, I'm grateful, you know, just to sit here and talk about these things. You know, man, when I saw your flyer, when I saw those past pictures, when I was quote unquote involved heavily with gangs, man, it was funny looking at my younger self. You know, because
like what were you doing?
Man, when I was doing those pictures,
yeah, like no, you think to yourself, damn, like, why was I doing that? Like, why was I part of that? And Reggie, I have a question for you. Like, because you expressed some trauma, what would have been some high support for you during that experience?
I think one of the things that stands out more than anything, if I would have had a safe place to actually talk about what happened. If I would have had a safe place and I had trusted individuals who would not judge me by that. That would have been more important, because at that point, I wouldn't have talked to a therapist. I wouldn't have talked to a counselor. I sure would have talked to someone who had been through what I've been through. I sure would have talked to someone who I built a relationship with, and that individual cared enough to ask me, what's going on, Reggie? I sure would have talked if I had individuals who had experienced what I experienced and made it safe for me to talk about it. That's what would have changed probably my life.
Wow. Wow. And that's what you're doing now.
Man.
And you know, that's amazing. But before we get to that, like your experience catching a life term, going into the penitentiary, how'd that feel like? How'd that look like? Your process through the pen?
It's funny, man, because it was in 1990 when I caught my case, and I had never been to prison. But for me, as a young gang member, I always knew I was going to prison. I was building towards that. I was doing all the things to get me to prison. I was committing crime. I didn't have no respect for authority, and I was hurt. See, that last one, people don't understand. You know, one of those things that happened to me was I didn't have a way of dealing with my hurt. I didn't have a way of dealing with my pain. And because of that, that was setting me up for failure. I apologize real quick. I want to plug this up so I won't have no problems. Excuse me, real quick.
Okay. But Nikki, that's.
Well, and I think the thing is that he touched on that's so prevalent, and it's so relevant, right? Is that we go through life, especially Black and brown communities, to where, you know, we don't talk about feelings, we don't talk about pain, we don't talk about our emotions, we don't want to see a therapist, right? But when we're sitting in the presence of somebody that actually understands what we've gone through, then the relatability component of it ignites something inside of us that makes us feel connected. And like Reggie was talking about in the very beginning, you know, we're so desperate for acceptance, we're so desperate for validation, right? And we seek it in the streets. But how amazing that transformation would be if we had it at the ground levels, having those conversations about the trauma. And I think that's where you guys have just been able to groundbreak and connect on such a different level. So for sure. Reggie, tag you're it, Reggie. Back to you. Back to you, Brock. Tag you're it.
This is all you.
Right, everything that I do today is geared around what happened to me. Not just the what happened to me physically, but what also happened to me emotionally. I was emotionally illiterate. I didn't know, I went to school. Remember, I graduated from school, but there was no class that taught me about emotional literacy skills. There was no class about that. And so imagine an individual who comes from a home where it's not being taught there as well. So I learned my things that I had to learn on the streets, and I learned it backwards. You know, from a quote from a comic book. It was like I was living in a bizarro world. You know, and Bizarro was the character who Superman fought, but he was the complete opposite of Superman. For me, I was living in a bizarre world. I thought wrong was right. I thought that, people respected me, but they feared me. I thought I was loved by my homies, but I was loved with the conditions that I continued doing certain things. And once I stopped doing those things, the love wasn't there. So I mean, I was in a bizarre world where everything was backwards. So
and that's not normal.
No, of course it's not normal. That's why we do what we do today, because we understand that process. And the big difference is that we come from there so we can relate to that. Not saying no one else can, because of course you can. All I'm saying is that's my way of connecting with our young youth today, because I've been in those shoes that they're in right now. And I want to be an example to show them what it looks like to be successful. And my success isn't based on money. My success is based on not using violence as a way of solving a problem. My success is based on being able to say, you know what, man, I understand my feelings are hurt. You know how powerful that is? To see a man say, man, you hurt my feelings? Powerful in the way that some people think, oh, that's some square stuff, or you soft. Man, as men, our feelings still get hurt.
All the time.
But we've been conditioned not to show those feelings. We've been conditioned to hide those feelings. We've been conditioned to stuff those feelings. So for me, what happened to me as a kid, I stuffed it. But guess what? Just like anything you stuff, you have to have things to keep it stuffed down. So I use violence to keep it stuffed. I use sex to keep it stuffed. I use drugs to keep it stuffed. Man, when I went to prison, I wasn't given those three things anymore. So those things came up. Man, it was through those type of programs that I actually created a safe place in prison to talk about my feelings. The life sentence didn't leave, just Reginald left. And that was my AKA when I was formerly involved in gang. See, the life sentence didn't leave, but Reginald left. And I was Reggie again. See, I was one of those ones that stopped banging while I was in prison. You know what I mean? Homies told me, well, I'm gonna stop, man, but I'm just gonna wait till I get out because I don't want people to think I'm a punk while I'm up in here. You're not a punk if you're just not a punk. And I remember going to my homeboys at the bench where all the, that particular gang was at. And I said, man, look, man, I love y'all, man, but I'm done, man. I wanna go home. And that was after over a decade. And all my homeboys did was said, man, we respect that. But I didn't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I made a decision to leave. So one of the biggest things that I did was let my friends know that. And they wanted to have that conversation with me. It couldn't be at a quote unquote in a gang area. Because remember, in prison, the bench actually represents the gang. So if you're at that bench, you're from that gang. So I couldn't come to that bench anymore. So if you wanted to talk to me, you have to walk the track and spend one-on-one time with me. I didn't know that I was building one-on-one mentorship. See, that started in prison. Project Aware was started in prison. It didn't start on the streets.
That's powerful. Start in prison, using your own life experience to create a program, a curriculum, emotional literacy, and then being blessed with the date and bringing it back to your community. I remember you telling me that during this process, your mother didn't even know you had a life sentence.
No,
right?
I couldn't tell her because she had already had a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
And I remember after my first decade in prison, her and my daughter came and visited me. And it was funny because they didn't know how much time I had, and I didn't want to tell them. So I lied and said, well, I just got 5 more years. And I mean, she nearly fainted. She said, how can that be? You didn't kill no one. You've already been gone over a decade. And my daughter, never saw me on the street. She's only seen me in prison. when I unfortunately, man, I had got my girlfriend pregnant at the time, and she was dead before I came home. And my mother took my daughter, and every chance she had, she would bring my daughter to come visit me. So my daughter was in prison before she could walk.
Wow. Wow. And
So
I
with
just,
that being in mind, Reg, I'm curious because it's like, you know, as you're talking about an instant, like a transition, you know, how did that transition happen for you? Like, what was the deciding factor that made you want to just go to that table and have that conversation and be like, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. Like, what was that turning point for you?
And for those who don't know, a life sentence means there's no guarantee you get to come home. There isn't like, okay, I got 10 years, I'm gonna do 10 years. Well, a life sentence with the possibility of parole means that I could spend the rest of my life in prison, or I could be paroled depending on behavior and what I'm able to do to show individuals that I'm capable of coming back home into society. So for me, I was doing programs to show what you would consider the board of prison term, that I'm able to come back home, I'm able to be a part of society. In the beginning, it was an opportunity to show them, but what happened, it transformed me. Taking parenting classes, learning how to be a parent, even though I never had one day on the outside with my daughter. Taking anger management classes, trying to understand how to resolve issues in a nonviolent way. Actually being more involved in my own experiences, you know, reflection, and actually being involved in a therapeutic community. See, those things were all new to me. I was taking NA and AA, and then I started taking a look at what the steps really truly meant. See, I started taking them to get out, then I started being involved in the programs to make me a better me. So that's what happened. Man, and a lot of individuals, you know, they take programs, they want to do something because they want to get out the cell, and which is great. But what happens if you really are an individual who evolves, what you do is that you actually start taking in some of the things that you're learning, and it becomes a part of who you are. Mm-hmm. I remember getting involved in a program called CROP, which stood for Convicts Reaching Out to People. And people say, oh, this is the Scared Straight program. Actually, it's not, because what we understood was that kids are already related to violence. They knew about violence in their home and in their school. We in CROP talked about the emotional aspect of being around 1,000 people, but still being alone. Having them understand that concept of what prison was like. When we started having opportunities to talk to kids from the street, I started seeing my daughter and these kids. I started seeing, you know, my nephews, my nieces, you know, it changed my life. All these things that I was doing just for the heck of it was changing my life. And I didn't even know it. I was doing things to get out the cell. I was doing things so I could look better for the board. But actually what was happening, I was becoming a better me. And again, I remember it was in prison that I said, look, man, I'm not Reginald no more. I'm just plain old Reggie. And I'm okay with it. Yeah. You know how long and what I had to do to build that name? You know how many people I hurt to build that name? And the person I hurt the most was me. Yeah. To this day, if someone calls me by my quote unquote AKA, I always hit them with this, real humbly. Hey man, I'm just plain old Reggie today, man. You know, I don't even go by that. And I'm just, and I specifically say plain old Reggie because I don't need to have a 10 on being me. The 10 is being me. That's the difference today.
That's
so
amazing.
Go ahead.
That's amazing. And through this process, at first you were just going to the classes, then you just start taking it in, processing yourself, being one of the pioneers in prison, right? With the life term. You know, now people are being, you know, they're cut loose left and right, but you were one of the first ones.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that, because I remember being outside and someone sending me a newsletter from in prison saying the first ever Black African American to be paroled the first time he went to the board, and it had my name on it. I was like, what? So yeah, you were the first African American gang member to be paroled the first time you went to the board. It's never been done.
In all California?
In
Wow.
all California.
Oh,
So-
I thought it was just San Diego, all California. That's powerful.
Awesome. So you only went to the board the very first time and got found suitable and was released, Reggie?
Never got denied at board. And I can't, but look, Nick, I can't really tell that story because there might be a youngster who thinks, oh man, if I get a license, I get out the first time. No, actually, that's not the norm.
That's miraculous.
That's never really happened before. And you know how many times when I was going to prepare for the board, I had all my lifer friends who've been denied 4 years, 5 years, 2 years. I had one my lifer friend who was denied a year, 20 straight times. And I just think God didn't think I could do that, so he said, here. You know, and I remember the board member, Miss Tate. She was the cousin of Sharon Tate, who Charles Manson had killed. She was the board member, and they had said, "Oh no, you got her. You're not going to be able to get out because she denies everyone." You know, but when I saw her, man, and she looked at me, man, it looked just like an angel, and I should have known God was there, and I was going to be all right. And I remember something she told me I never forget. Because when they found me suitable, I was crying, and she told me, "Look, you're gonna have to stop crying because we're writing these things down, and if we can't write it down, it can't be considered legit." And I mean, I never forget. She said, "Reggie, when you go back, don't tell no one you got a date." I'm almost starting to cry now just thinking about that. She told me,
I'm crying right now for you, man. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, she told me, she said, don't tell no one that you got a date. And I remember her looking through my things, and she was saying, like, everything you're doing inside here, you could tell it's not made up, you know, because board members, it's their job to read through the BS. They know people who just went and got this chrono just to get it. They know people who stuffed their things just to do it. They know that. But when she saw my file, she said, I can tell that you didn't just get these put in here. You're actually doing this work inside. Because I made it my job to go to every yard and talk about the dangers of needles, to talk about HIV. I did that because I've had someone close to me who had HIV. So I took on these things in a personal manner. Because in prison, people still have access at needle. So I would do seminars and training. I didn't know that I was preparing myself to be who I am today. I didn't have no idea about that. But I would go there and talk to inmates about, look, man, these are the dangers of when you're sharing needles. This is how you get hepatitis C. I got so involved that doctors came and started teaching me how to actually facilitate and talk to the inmate. So they had gave me all this info, and I just took it. Mm-hmm. And I remember when Miss Tate was talking to me, she said, we've never seen no one like you before. And we can tell that this isn't fake.
Wow. And then like you coming out, bam, can't see no one like Reggie and Project Aware. So ain't nothing changed.
Yeah.
So starting Project Aware, how was that like?
Again, man, it almost seemed like it's fake because I'm not lying that this truly happened. Remember when I was going to CROP? It was a therapist that was in there. She was a marriage counselor, but she was bringing some of her clients in, and we became like real, like, you know, she liked how I was conducting myself, and I had told her, look, I got this vision, man. You know, I want to get, when I come home, and I want to do a program because I'm already doing the work inside. I'm mentoring there. Yeah, I had became a mentor and a mental health system, you know, a lifer mentor. So I was mentoring other inmates. So I was telling her that, and I said, look, I wrote down every program that I was in. I took pieces of it and I wrote down a curriculum, but it was like 500 pages. I was just writing. she took my 500 pages, went in word processed and made it into curriculum. And she says, Reggie, I have a present for you. And boom, there it was. She had word process, put everything, and her name is Catherine Butler. I would never forget her. The first day I came home, she had pillows for me. She had not money, but the necessities.
Wow.
This is a woman that ain't never been to prison at all, but she just saw me for who I was. And I was another young lady named Priscilla Steiner, Priscilla Alvarez, who had a program, and she would come in there and talk to me about, hey, you need to be doing this work out here. And she took what Catherine took, and I know you guys ain't gonna believe this. She took what Catherine took, and I gave it to Priscilla. Priscilla presented it at Tri-City Medical, the board of Tri-City Medical in North County, and they gave her $10,000.
Yeah.
I remember her coming back and saying, look, I got good news and bad news. You know, she said, the good news, I got $10,000 for you to run this program. The bad news is you got a life sentence and you're the only one that can run it. I just couldn't believe that part, you know, so all these things was happening, but I had already been in prison for over a decade. I was mentoring inside prison. I had already told my friends, look, man, I love you guys, man, but I'm done, man. I said, I'm done. You know, and
I know what that feels like. This last trip, I didn't have my process like you, but looking at them through the dog cage, right, in corporate shoe and telling them, man, I can't do this no more, man. I'm gonna get into something special. I don't know what it is yet, but it's coming. But yours was already defined through your process. So how's it feel to be the CEO of Project Aware and your baby, man, with all the work that you do and all the different programs, and how's that feel like now?
It's a dream come true, man. You know, sometimes, look, I tell everyone this all the time. People are like, man, Reggie, you so good. I still get goosebumps. I still trip out that I go online and people listen because of this virtual world. You know, I still get a trip when I go into school and kids are circled up and they want to actually, you know, sit in a circle and talk about the things that, you know, it took me getting the life sentence to finally talk about. They're actually talking about it in school.
That's powerful.
You know, so it was amazing for me to have to go through that process of seeing that. And to this day, I'd be like, dang, is anyone gonna show up to group? But yet I have people telling me like, Reg, you know they love you. They won't come, they won't even come to group if you ain't there. But I don't see it like that. You know, to be able to be a CEO when all I've ever been was a gang member is a trip. All I've ever done was harm my community. Now I'm focused on healing my community. So those things still catch me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
I still find myself like really in shock.
And so the different programs that you service is you're into the schools, San Diego Office of Education, you facilitate in schools. Can you explain that real quick? All your different programs?
One of the things, when I speak on the work that I do, I really focus on restorative practices, restorative justice, trauma-informed care. It's a list of things, cultural competency. I'm a federal and state gang expert. In other words, I'm always called to go to court and testify about gang culture, gang environment. Really, my battle is for these young Latinx and Black men who are getting these gang enhancements for gang crime that aren't really gang crime. I really testify and allow the jury to understand that, because the most common person in this world probably doesn't know the details of what it is to be in the gang. And unfortunately, the individuals who are making those decisions and saying who is who, those are the individuals that are the actual police. I remember, you know, and it was a little youngster, man, from Lincoln named Matt Bowe, man. He got me in contact with a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, look, we try to hire a gang expert, but every gang expert is a police officer. I want to show you what it means to be a gang expert, and it's going to change your life. You know, Gloria, I'll never forget, Gloria and Zaki was the first lawyers, and they taught me how to be a gang expert. They taught me how to testify in court. They taught me how to sit on the stand. But they said, Reggie, you are already a gang expert because of the work that you do and what your past was. You are walking, you know, in your own light today. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to make nothing up. I didn't have to, you know, change my life. That I just had to tell the story of how I was and who I am today. I had to tell the story of what a gang member goes through. I had to tell the story of what this meant and what that meant. Because we don't want people to think that every gang member is the same person. We don't want people to think that just because you're a gang member, you can't do nothing right. You know, and I use myself as an example. You know, I was a gang member, but today I train the county office of education. I train probation. I testify in court, you know, with judges. I train bigger organizations. So we can do the work. And it's individuals like us with lived experience who really connect to the young men and young women who are trying to find their ways, who have gone through some of the things that we've gone through.
Yeah, no, man, thank you. And thank you for being my mentor in all these processes, man. And, you know, we have different corporations, but we do similar work. We're partnered, we collaborate, and don't get it twisted, we're partners. So,
oh, yeah. No, I mean, I see youth empowerment and Project Aware as the same, because they know our connection is strong.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, me and Reggie are going to have a conversation on whatever it may be, whoever is trying to say something, whatever. We're going to have a conversation. So
no,
how does it feel to be ambassadors to the work, man? We're both going to be ambassadors to Clint Lacey and this national movement he got going on, man. And you know,
a lot of people don't know that, man. A lot of people don't understand that concept, man, of us being ambassadors for this credible messenger movement. I mean, and look, man, we deserve that. It isn't like we haven't put in the work.
Yeah.
It isn't like that we haven't, you know, sat here and really demonstrated what it meant to be a credible messenger, community mentor. I mean, look what the work that we've been doing. You know, look, I remember when Nikki first came home and you sort of mentored her, and just, she's shining. She by all rights, man, she's in this movement just as strong as we are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we take a look, and I think it's something that Jay-Z said, man, you know, you really ain't a boss if ain't nobody else having nothing. Yeah. So we demonstrating what a boss looks like, because everyone we're around, they get to come up too.
Yeah.
That's what makes us who we are.
Yeah.
And man, I have no qualms that anyone that knows me, man, knows that I'm connected with youth empowerment. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact, you know, that I'm able to be on the board. I love the fact that I'm able to do work with you. I love the fact that we got, you know, things that we do together.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been a relationship of, man, we volunteered for a few years before anything happened on specific contracts.
Yeah, and we volunteer today. How much work we do just on GP.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of need out there, man. So definitely just honored to be in this presence with you and just pushing the movement. And you're right, like a lot of people don't understand, but just to give like an example with a picture, it's right here. Talk about that, Reggie.
Man, that was one of the greatest days of my life, man, because see, the backstory to that is that was the first time that me and you got on a plane together, and I didn't know how crazy you was, but besides that part right It was the first time. I remember us getting ready, getting dropped off there. And when we get there, 2 probation officers are there. Lorraine and Letty, I'll never forget them two, because that's what made me have another level of love for individuals like Letty and Lorraine. To decide, they were higher up in probation. Yeah. And we didn't even know it. We went to Washington, D.C. with probation to take a look at Credible Messenger, take a look at Achievement Center, and sort of, they wanted our feedback on what they thought about that. Again, another opportunity that San Diego County of Probation empowered individuals with lived experience to be a part of the process of change. Yeah. That's important. Mm-hmm. They didn't have to do that, but then they chose us to do that with. Yeah. And that showed our commitment to this movement. Yeah.
Hey, Reggie, but see, that was the first time. This was our second trip right here.
And our second trip, it was just, we had already established ourselves. I sort of wanted to show that first. That first trip was, we got to meet individuals like Ruben, Clinton Lacey, King Tone. Our second trip, they already knew who we were. We were established. We were frontline soldiers for the community mentor movement. And picture right there. Go ahead.
I remember you saying you ain't never seen so many Black people in your life.
I'm from San Diego. You know, I was born in Florida. You know, that's when I went there, but it was amazing. I didn't get a chance to do. Man, since I came home from prison, because before I went to prison, I never went anywhere. Since I've been home from prison, I didn't been to Washington, New York, Jamaica twice, you know, Cabo. I didn't travel on a consistent basis. Yeah. And but so that trip right there, every community mentor is from a different area. So we saw individuals from Tennessee, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., L.A. I mean, you could go on and on, Philadelphia. So that picture was, that's when we realized we weren't the only ones doing this work. We always knew it wasn't just us, but to meet them all, to actually have that conversation about the work they're doing, to eventually give us the opportunity to go to Atlanta and meet other community mentors.
Yeah. That's amazing. It was powerful. And honestly, the best conference I've been to in my life. The people, the vibe, the soul, the bands, the jazz, the food, the environment, like it was off the hook.
The people. We had a chance to meet other individuals who we still have a relationship now. We still have a relationship. One of the community mentors from Seattle came down here the other day and came and chopped it up with us and spent time with us. Yeah. Stay in contact with our LA community mentor. Yeah. We went to Atlanta because of that, who we met, and we went down there and did some trainings with Ruben in Atlanta. Those are all the ones. Excuse me. I know I want to take a look
at. Handle that, Reg.
Reggie just comes with the super randos. Excuse me for a minute. I'm sorry. Let me take care of this real quick. It's hard having celebrities on the scene with a fan club base.
And his beautiful daughter right there, present right there with her beautiful smile. That's beautiful right there. and so yeah, it was an amazing conference just for the community mentors, also known as credible messengers, to all be connected locally with North County, Central Region, South Bay County, to being present, all the partnerships that are going on, just pushing the work is amazing. So, Reggie.
Yes.
What's your message?
Man, you know, as we get ready to end this, my biggest message is that, you know, individuals who are out here, get connected, find you a safe place to start working on some of those issues. And we hope that you do it sooner rather than later. Some of us have, are no longer here because we never had the opportunity to work on those issues. For me, it's always going to be, because if you find a safe place, you get to start working on yourself. And then you get to see how amazing you really are. Because for the longest, man, I was plain old Reginald. I found me a safe place. I was able to work on myself, and now I'm the CEO of a corporation.
Amazing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Nikki? You're on mute, Nikki.
Hey, I know. Don't need to start yelling at me, boss. We are trauma informed here. We are trauma informed here. We are all about supportive staff and effective communication in these parts. I love it. I love it. So Reggie, thank you so much for just blessing us with your presence, with that empowering story. There's been so many different things that have come up definitely in just being able to relate to everything that you said, you know, and I think we're relatable on so many different scales of just starting from the core root issue of trauma and then the transition, right? And we're all in different places in that transition. And I think the most important thing is just feeling empowered, that knowing that there's healing, there's spaces for change, there's people who genuinely care, there's people who want folks to grow, especially those that have been system impacted, formerly incarcerated, experienced any type of trauma. Like, you know, to be honest, full disclosure, my PO came to see me today, you know, and it was just being able to share with her the work that's being done in the community by so many people that are formerly incarcerated, that want to help a community and build a community, and just to know and let them know that there's so much support out there, you know, and that we are here. And that's the biggest thing. So I just thank you so much for your heart, for your spirit, for your soul, for everything that you've invested into yourself, so that you've been able to give that back to every single interaction that you've had, man. You're a gift. You're a gift, seriously, to the world. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing that with us. When I leave right now, I want to leave something with you guys, and I want to kind of embed it in your mind, and I want to embed it in your spirit. You know, when a lot of times we go through life and we think some things are impossible. You know, Reggie went to board, he got found suitable that very first time. Same thing with me. I went to board that first time, never thought. I had 4 or 5 C files. I never thought I was going to come home, right? But when I start realizing the changes that come from within, when you start looking at the word impossible, it's I'm possible. It starts with I'm possible. And so it starts with believing in self, right? We have to believe that I'm possible, of greater, of greatness, of great things, worthy of so much more than a lot of times what we settle for. So I just wanted to deposit that out there. So everybody that's watching, thank you so much for taking the time, the opportunity to share this time with us. You know, like our page, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. We're here, we're live. You want to make a donation, by all means, we are accepting all donations. We love that. We have so many things that are getting ready to come on the horizon for not just our folks that are formerly incarcerated, but for the parents, for the school systems, for our kids that are in school. We're completely active in the community. We ask that you come here, you check us out. We're here, we're moving, we're grooving, we're in love with everything that we're doing. And we're so happy to be a part of a community that accepts us and embraces us and loves us, because we have that to deposit right back into it. And so with that being said, I'll pass it over. Boss, you have anything you want to say?
No.
Give us that one word checkout then.
I'm empowered.
Empowered. Reggie?
Thank you. Is there a way I could share this on my home?
Yeah, like, okay.
Well, we're not Facebook.
Like, no, this
Facebook
is
navigators.
This is mentor technical assistance right here.
Yes, I try to tell people, I'm like, look, if I tagged you, I don't know what I'm doing. I just learn as I go. Like, if I send it in Messenger, I don't know what I'm doing. It just happens that way. So, you know, for all of our Facebook folks out there, we are here. We're learning. And so just thank you for being with us, and may you all be blessed with every single breath that you take today. Thank you so much for joining us.
And I find out online. I give you a call offline. Okay.
No, stay on real quick. We're gonna